Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base, and yeah, there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. You know, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for and something.
Now, let's talk about the latest controversy in the WNBA, which has sparked a lot of heated debate. Alyssa Thomas has recently criticized the strong support that Caitlin Clark receives, suggesting that racism may play a role in why Clark gets so much attention. However, many people online are not convinced by this claim. Considering that Alyssa Thomas has been playing in the WNBA for more than a decade, one might assume she is used to the noise from crowds and the occasional trash talk that comes with professional sports. But this time, she has taken things a step further by implying that the enthusiastic support for Caitlin Clark and the lack of similar reactions for her could be related to skin color. This has raised a lot of questions. Alyssa, is that really the direction you want to take? Since there are several aspects to this controversy, and, frankly, none of them seem to be helping Alyssa Thomas, let's take a closer look at the situation.
I ran into people who were born in the 40s a couple of weeks ago that were telling me it's worse now than it was in the 60s. But knowing how our society can be, we see the ugliness that exists in certain parts of the country. All I'm saying is you can't ignore it. This is a perfect example, a small one, but nevertheless a perfect example of illuminating the kind of society that we're still living in, no matter how far forward we have.
Recently, I spoke with a few people who were born in the 1940s, and they told me that, in some ways, things feel even worse today than they did in the 1960s. Given the way our society can be, it's clear that prejudice and negativity still exist in certain parts of the country. The point is that we shouldn't ignore it. Situations like this may seem small, but they still highlight an important issue. They reveal the kind of society we are still living in, despite the progress we believe we've made over the years.
Instagram wasn't there waiting for me. Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. It could have been somebody from Connecticut pretending to be an Indiana Fever fan, or someone from Connecticut who doesn't like you because you're a whiny victim 24/7. In my 11 years, I've never dealt with what I've dealt with. You know why? Because no one cared about your league before Caitlin.
To begin with, Alyssa Thomas made this claim right after one of her poorest performances in the playoffs, where she scored only 8 points in the game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been putting up impressive numbers, averaging more than 25 points per game and bringing a new level of excitement to the league. With her dynamic style of play, she has been breaking records and creating highlight-worthy moments on a regular basis. So perhaps the difference in fan support isn't about race, Alyssa. It might simply come down to performance. Fans usually rally behind players who consistently deliver strong results on the court, rather than those whose statistics leave people wondering how much impact they actually had during the game.
We live in a world today. Think about the climate that exists. Think about how unhealthy and divisive our climate is in today's day and age. They're saying it's worse now than it was then.
Racial tension.
Racial tension. Okay. So you see this girl, Caitlin Clark, and this is not her fault. It's not her fault. We won't go back. We won't go back. Don't let us go back. There's certain people that want us to go back to a different time. Blah, blah, blah. We've heard all.
Look, I fully support speaking up when there's a real issue that needs to be addressed. However, in this case, the situation seems more like a distraction than a productive conversation. Alyssa Thomas has been part of the WNBA for more than 10 years. She is very familiar with fan reactions and media pressure. It's nothing new to her. She understands how the league and the public respond to players. So the question is, why bring this up now? Why suddenly shift the focus in this direction? It raises the possibility that she may have been trying to redirect attention away from her own performance after a difficult game. Let's be honest, fans quickly reacted, and the comment sparked a significant backlash online.
Austin? Is X still in San Francisco? Was this game in San Francisco? Where exactly did she travel to work and get invaded by social media? They played in an arena. Somewhere, I would imagine, in Connecticut. There were no opposing fans. You barely had home fans. And so no one cared. A couple 300,000 people were watching your games. No one will be tweeting about you, Alyssa Thomas. But the WNBA, in its infinite wisdom and cowardice, put out a
Caitlin Clark isn't responsible for deciding who supports or applauds her. She's simply doing what she does best, playing basketball at an elite level. However, the situation escalated further when Alyssa Thomas didn't just make a brief remark and move on. Instead, she leaned into the idea that the lack of the same level of fan support compared to Caitlin Clark was somehow working against her. But realistically, fans aren't cheering for Clark because of her skin color. They're cheering because she has become a standout star in the league. Every time Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, she delivers exciting performances and memorable moments. Her statistics and on-court impact speak for themselves. If recognition is what a player wants, the most straightforward way to earn it is through strong performance. Rather than focusing on her own difficult game, Alyssa Thomas chose to shift the conversation toward controversy, which ultimately pulled Caitlin Clark and her fan base into the discussion.
To go to work today, and then she said, and have social media. Do you work on social media? Is that where does she travel? I think, where did they move Twitter to, or X? Where have I heard this argument before? Oh, Donald Trump may be fine, but the MAGA people, they're terrible. They're the deplorables. They're a threat to democracy. That ain't much of an audience, baby girl. You ain't catching a lot of strays. There was the other comments that she made, and someone hit me. Replay her comments again.
What many people find ironic is that Alyssa Thomas now seems to be presenting herself as the victim in this situation. But after spending more than a decade in the WNBA, she should already understand how the league and its fans work. In professional sports, supporters usually cheer the most for players who consistently show skill, effort, and strong performances on the court. Some critics argue that if Alyssa Thomas focused as much on improving her performance as she does on pointing fingers, the conversation might look very different. However, instead of taking responsibility for a difficult game, Alyssa Thomas chose to offer explanations that many people see as excuses. As a result, the situation has now grown into a much larger controversy.
Now people showed up, and you're dealing with what everybody deals with on social media. You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter, and Caitlin Clark on the Roots poster or the Roots. What is she talking about? Did someone put Dejanay Carrington's face on something? I don't know. People were waiting for them before the game, after the game, and yelling racial slurs at them or yelling inappropriate things at them. I'd be on board.
Then there are the claims of racist mistreatment. There's no question that racism exists. It remains a serious issue in both sports and society as a whole. However, Alyssa Thomas has been part of the WNBA for 11 years, and this is the first time she has publicly raised these concerns. One has to wonder, where was this indignation all along? I'm not saying she hasn't faced challenges during her career, but when the timing of these claims coincides so closely with her own struggles on the court, it's understandable that many find the charges hard to fully believe.
On Twitter since 2009 or 8, somewhere around there. The abuse, the things that are said and have been said about me will be said about me today. Turn to your teammate and say, hey, cut it out. But that's not what she's going to do or anybody's going to do. They're all going to, oh, it's Caitlin Clark. It's her fans. And now that Caitlin Clark has exited, they'll get to deal with the traveling gay sex cult that they're comfortable.
Especially following one of her weakest games of the season, the claims made by Alyssa Thomas seem even more questionable. The idea that this story would gain widespread support only adds to its absurdity. Let's be clear, fans aren't reacting to her skin tone. Their frustration comes from her performance on the court. You can't expect universal support when you score just 8 points in a playoff game. Fans aren't supporting Alyssa Thomas because of her skin color. They are supporting Caitlin Clark because she is a superstar, setting records and bringing significant attention to the WNBA. Caitlin Clark has become one of the biggest stars in women's sports thanks to her skill, dominance, and record-breaking performances. Alyssa Thomas' claims, coming right after a poor game, read more like an attempt to deflect blame than to take responsibility. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has remained focused, playing at an MVP level and proving that talent, not color, is what earns recognition. Ultimately, Clark's reputation continues to grow, while Alyssa's grievances highlight the contrast between a true star and a player struggling under the spotlight.